Hi everybody, welcome to Peerlyst Community TV. I'll be your host today. This is my first time both doing a video interview and a Peerlyst Community TV episode. We're here with VP of Engineering, Yoav Cohen from Incapsula. And thanks for being with us, Yoav.
Great, I'm happy to be here.
So I'm a bit nervous, so please excuse me if I'm not making sense. But let's try to get on board with this episode, which should be called DDoS attacks, what every CISO should know about attacks and protection measures. And I think you have a personal story about that you'd like to share with us initially.
Right. A personal secret. I'm a swimmer in a master's swimming team, and one of the guys on my swim team, I know that he works for an online gaming company. I didn't know which company, and I didn't know exactly what he did there. But one evening, I get a call about 9 p.m. Hi, Yoav, how are you? Listen, our website is down. We don't know what to do. We're probably under a DDoS attack, and I know that you guys work in the DDoS industry. Is there anything you can do to help? So yes, we helped, and within a few minutes, they boarded the service. Their website was up. The attack was mitigated, and I was very happy to see an end-to-end cycle of helping a friend, helping a customer out, and these guys are Incapsula customers now.
Well, it's great. As a soon-to-be former head of IT for a small bank, I've spent a lot of time investigating DDoS attack trends and possible mitigations or solutions to defend against these. And it's hard to get reliable information when reading the media about how often you see these attacks, how big they are, how many companies get hit by them. A lot of companies will get, I guess, DDoSed or maybe for ransom and don't tell anyone, so we can't really know and we can't do any statistics on it. What would you say about the threat landscape for DDoS attacks?
Well, I would start by saying that I'm not encouraged by the data that I see, both from the data that we collect and the data that is being published by other vendors. The ease of launching a DDoS campaign nowadays is ridiculous. You have teenagers who are launching 100 gigs attacks because they got a bad grade in an exam, and it's soon to become the digital age graffiti. I don't like your service. I don't like your online game. I'm gonna DDoS. It's a very effective means of disrupting a service, and we see that. Well, it used to be targeting very big companies, but nowadays we see smaller companies, bigger companies being DDoSed, and it's really something that should be on the table for any security portfolio. And even if your company doesn't have a thing called security portfolio, if you have web assets, websites, web applications that you use, whether it's for e-commerce or for marketing purposes, the effects of being DDoS and being down are very big, both directly, loss of immediate revenue if it's an online business, and indirectly, the damage to customers' sentiments and reputation.
All right. Calculating an actual risk of this occurring is pretty hard from a CISO perspective, but talking to a board of directors, they would want to have a estimation of the risk as compared to other risks that they are facing.
Mm-hmm.
How would you say the relative weight of this risk has moved, seen from a board of directors perspective, in the last, like, say, 12 months?
I think that it went up. Um, the priority of protecting against the DDoS attack is a lot higher today than it used to be before. You see DDoS attacks happening everywhere from very big companies, whole name brands that we know, and even small businesses that um, just have a website with an e-store in it. So the the effects are very, very significant.
All right. Let's move on into the technical part. I know since you just explained it to me already, please give the listeners a overview of the DDoS types of attacks and the different technical mitigations or DDoS protections available.
Okay, so DDoS is distributed denial of service. The idea is to consume the computing resources of the website or party that's being attacked, and that could be done. There are various types of resources that could be consumed, and we separate DDoS attacks into two categories. You have your layer 7 attacks, which by generating a flood of legitimate, seemingly legitimate requests to the website, you cause an inability to serve legitimate, real legitimate requests. And you have your layer 3 attacks, which are using network packets, not something that could even be read by an application. Just simple network traffic, could be UDP packets, could be very large SYN packets, could be other types of packets that you just sent. And these usually aim at consuming the network resources of the attacked website. And both lead at the end to an inability to serve legitimate traffic.
All right. And the technical countermeasures, what do companies that trade in this, how do they protect the customers against this?
Okay, so in layer 7, the idea is to try to identify legitimate traffic from illegitimate traffic, and that could be done in a various of pretty advanced techniques because layer 7, for example, HTTP is a protocol that allows you to send messages back as a response, and it gives you a lot of freedom to try and challenge the client on the other side of the connection and try to make the client do certain things to help you identify which type of client that is. It could be simply sending all kinds of specially crafted HTTP cookies and seeing what you get back. And it could be sending JavaScript challenges and see whether the client is able to compute the challenge correctly and return a response. And in the most extreme case, you could try to identify whether the client is a human client, is someone like you or me, by sending some kind of a challenge like a CAPTCHA, for example, which is very popular, to determine whether this is a client or a bot part of an attack. In layer 3, there are types of statistical analysis that you can do to try and identify whether the client is part of a botnet that is now attacking your servers. And this is one part that you can do. The other part is try to identify all sorts of anomalies in the traffic. For example, one type of attack that we're familiar is sending very large SYN packets as part of the TCP three-way handshake connection. And there's actually no reason why SYN packets should be very, very, very large. So they are large because they try to consume your network pipes, your bandwidth. And this is one thing that you can do.
And as a scrubbing center in layer 7, what do you do to clean? Which techniques was it that you used?
In layer 7, we have we call it a 5-ring a protection scheme, whereby which we try to identify by various means the type of client that is now communicating, whether it's a command line tool, whether it's a browser, which type of browser that is. That's a first line of defense. A second line of defense is try to use check which rates at which rate the client is trying to communicate, and there could be various proprietary techniques that we do in order to really make sure that the client is not impersonating a different client, which is something that is very popular. Some DDoS campaigns try to masquerade themselves as good bots, like Google bots, for example. And you wouldn't want to block Google, so they would use the Google user agent, etc. And this is something that you want to make sure that you're not getting fooled by.
Yeah. And just to recap, in the layer 3, the protections were all DNS based, right? From a client perspective?
No, it's not all DNS based. There are certain mitigation techniques for DNS-based attacks, layer 3 DNS-based attacks that you can do. Some of the protection schemes are, as I said, statistical. We try to identify statistically the IP addresses that are part of the botnet and those that are part of legitimate traffic, and various other techniques.
Coughing, have a bit of cough. I meant layer 7 in that question, not layer 3, obviously. I just got my notes confused.
Okay.
The DNS part, if I understood it correctly, the DNS redirection, like the C name, is used in the layer 7.
Right.
From a CISO perspective, I'd want to know what you guys are doing to help me.
Okay.
And
so that brings me to discuss architectures. How, as a CISO, how as a customer can I board such a protection service, and what is required of me as a customer to get protected by one of these services? So one technique to board a DDoS mitigation service is by doing DNS changes. And what happened is that I changed the DNS records of my website, for example, www.example.com. I changed the DNS records in such a way that they point to the DDoS mitigation service cloud. And traffic now from clients will go first to the DDoS mitigation cloud, being scrubbed there, and only after scrubbed will be moved to the origin servers of the customer.
so like a double redirect.
Yes, so it puts the cloud-based service in between the clients and your web servers. However, usually these kind of services are coupled with a content delivery network. So you also get website optimization, you get caching, etc. So actually, one of the frequently asked questions about such services is whether am I going to get latency by adding an additional hop. So actually, in practice, you will probably speed up your website because you also get CDN.
Well, that sounds like a win-win. I wasn't even aware, pardon me. Okay, and for the layer 3?
So layers 3 is the techniques to board such a service are a bit more advanced. I should say that you can also get layer 3 protection by using a DNS-based scheme, but what happens then is that you have your origin servers, and they have IP addresses which could be attacked by a layer 3 attack directly.
Mm-hmm.
And you could put in a firewall, and this is what our customers do. They usually have a firewall. They only whitelisting traffic from
Mm-hmm.
our IP addresses, but nonetheless, being targeted by a layer 3 attack directly could take them down.
Mm-hmm.
So in such cases, what you would like to do is actually use the DDoS mitigation service as sort of an ISP. So the DDoS mitigation service will either, if you as a customer have a C-class range, if you own your own range of IPs, you could tell the DDoS mitigation service to route traffic to your IP addresses first to the cloud, and from the cloud, the traffic, of course, it's scrubbed in the cloud, and then it moves via a secure tunnel into your servers. And if you don't have your own C-class IP range, which most companies don't, of course, small businesses usually don't have their own C-class ranges. So there is also an option to get individual IP addresses from DDoS mitigation services. This is something that we are about to launch soon. And if you just need 1 or 2 IP addresses, you can get layer 3 protected IP addresses. If you don't have your own C-class range and you still have game servers to protect, applications that are hosted in platform providers like Amazon or Azure, etc.
All right. Any further details you'd like to add, or should we move to the next question?
We can move.
Okay. The final question of this interview is, what questions should a CISO ask when wanting to choose a DDoS protection service?
So the first thing that I would ask is, does the service protect against all types of DDoS attacks? It could be that it's only a layer 7 service. It could be that it's only a layer 3 service. It's important to understand the architecture and the landscape of attacks, because all of them are common and all of them can cause damage. The second thing that I would ask is it an always-on or an on-demand solution? An always-on solution is, of course, more favorable because it can start mitigating right away. You don't have to do something when an attack happens.
Sounds more expensive, though.
It usually is more expensive. An on-demand solution is less expensive, however, usually will take longer to mitigate.
So it's about your risk appetite, basically.
Right. Another thing to consider is the scrubbing capacity. Nowadays, you can see in our DDoS reports, we see DDoS attacks in hundreds of gigabits. These are numbers that a few years ago would be close to unimaginable. We see them on a daily basis, and you really need a high capacity network in order to absorb such a large attack. And of course, there are many attacks going on simultaneously targeting many customers in many locations. You want to check that you have enough capacity and that you have locations of scrubbing centers that are geographically located where it best suits you. You want to know whether the architecture is hybrid or cloud only. We do cloud only at Incapsula, but some services require that you install some kind of an appliance in-house on-prem that is usually used to detect whether a DDoS attack is starting and automatically board the on-demand solution. Final thing that I would inquire is how often does the vendor update the security rules, the reputation lists, all the content that is the heart of the mitigation service. How often is that being updated to protect me against the latest attacks?
So the speed with which the provider has researchers that identify new attacks or patterns of attacks, like you said with the fake Google robot, how
Exactly.
quickly this gets put into your rule base.
Exactly. For example, we see some layer 7 DDoS attacks that use WordPress, all kinds of WordPress plugins that cause reflection attacks. I send a request to a vulnerable WordPress site, and that generates multiple requests that I can target to the site that I want to attack. Once such a vulnerability in the specific WordPress plugin is discovered, you want to make sure that your service is being updated right away and that you are protected from such an attack.
As a CISO, I'd also want to ask the price, but let's not go into that in this interview. Anything else you want to add?
No, I would just want to emphasize the point that we see a rise in the number of DDoS attacks. We see a rise in the complexity of attacks. Most attacks that we see nowadays are multi-vector attacks. Even in the layer 3 domain, not only the layer 7 domain, even in layer 3, we see attacks that use multiple techniques to make it more difficult to mitigate on a fast enough.
All right, so multi-vector would be NTP at the same time as something else, or what do you mean by multi-vector?
Right, by multi-vector I mean that if you look at the web traffic during the attack, you see that you get 10 gigabits per second of DNS reflection attack. You get 10 gigabits of a SYN flood attack. You get 20 gigabits of a large SYN attack, and there are other vectors that are being used simultaneously, and that increases the difficulty to mitigate it, because if you block one vector, you still have 3, 4, 5 other vectors that you have to deal with, and while your website is down, of course.
All right. Well, especially the point about the security researchers and the speed with which they add to the rule base that protects me, that one was new to me, and I've actually spent quite a lot of time researching different DDoS solutions. So thanks for making me smarter. I hope that that your knowledge has contributed and will contribute with this video interview to the Peerlyst community. And if we're lucky, maybe I could convince you to write a how to select a solution blog or something as well. That would be great, like just a bullet points that CISO should ask when selecting. That would be really great as a summary for this whole interview, I think. Value added. And then, yoav, thanks a lot for participating.
Thank you, Klaus.
And I hope we did fine, because I was quite a bit nervous, and then a cough in the middle of the whole thing. And so thanks a lot, and have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.